Hi everyone, welcome again to Teacher Joseph's weekly lesson. Today we're going to talk about county lines. A county is a small region, and lines, well, there's a few different meanings in English. One meaning is the line, the border around the county. That's what I thought county lines meant. But actually, it's not. County lines is all about telephone calls and telephone lines that are made around the country between counties. The term county lines is talking about how illegal substances are moved around the country. And things are so bad now that the police have created a county lines department to deal with crimes involving the movement of drugs. Now, this is a very serious issue, and it's something which has been going on for quite some time. And we're going to read about it now to learn more about county lines and what it actually is. So let's begin by defining county lines. What is that? It's such a strange term, and it's not the county and the border around it. It's the county and the use of telephone lines. Let's have a look. Right, as you can see here, county lines drug trafficking. In the United Kingdom, the county lines drug supply model is the practice of trafficking drugs into rural areas and smaller towns away from major cities. Criminal gangs recruit and exploit vulnerable children, sometimes including children in pupil referral units. That's basically kids who have some social problems or mental health problems, and those who've been excluded from school. When I was at school, that was called expelled, but these days it's called exclusion, when you can't go to school because you're so badly behaved. And it's saying here, those people can be used and exploited. It says sometimes including children in pupil referral units and those who have been excluded from school, and exploit them to deal drugs. Some young people are recruited via debt bondage, and that's where they're sold drugs, and in order to escape debts, they have to do things for these suppliers. It says here some young people are recruited via debt bondage, whereby they enter county lines to pay off drug debts. Many of these activities are forms of modern slavery. Now, it goes on to describe why we call it county lines, and that's what we're interested in today. The term county lines is used where illegal drugs are transported from one area to another, often across police and local authority boundaries. Lines refers to the phone numbers or deal lines dedicated to this activity. The practice is also known by those involved as going country, cunch, or going OT, out of town, which is just slang for out of town. Now, we're not going to read all of this because we want to really examine a police report. So we'll just skim through it. 2019, Sadiq Khan, Mayor of London, blamed cuts in police numbers for the rise of county lines gangs. There is now a County Lines Operation Unit run by the National County Lines Coordination Centre, jointly run by the National Crime Agency and the National Police Chiefs Council. It opened in September 2019. It is thought that it has helped to find suspects and help victims of drug trafficking. Yeah, we're going to read a story just in a moment about what they've done. But yeah, let's just stop there for a second because we want to discuss a little bit more about county lines. And we'll go over to that news report just in a second. But before we do that, I just wanted to mention a little bit for those of you who think that Britain is a very quiet place where nothing ever happens. Our media doesn't often talk about social problems like alcohol and drugs, but yet these are very prevalent here. You know, a few days ago, I was going to the cinema, but one thing that disturbs me about the cinema is the bar, the alcohol bar. Most cinemas now have them. In fact, I think all cinemas have them. And it's the same with going to the theatre. They serve beer and alcohol just to keep people quiet. And many tickets are sold now with perhaps an alcohol free voucher for alcohol, not an alcohol free voucher, but a voucher which is given to you free for alcohol. Now, you might wonder why I'm so upset about this. People can do what they want, but it's just compared to your country, and people go to the cinema and the theatre to enjoy the experience. But British people, more and more, aren't comfortable. They just want to be entertained, and everything seems to be an excuse for drinking. Did you know, for example, that we can drink on public transport as well, although that is being examined? But I just really want to give you an idea of what life here is like. So, when it comes to drugs, please do not be under any idea that perhaps we don't have the same problems as everyone else. In fact, we do. And from time to time, they're very serious. You can tell they're very serious if they're recruiting young people to take drugs around the country. And our police operate undercover at most railway stations now. I mean, city railway stations, especially when people are traveling cross country. They look out for children, especially children who maybe look a little bit vulnerable or afraid if they have a suitcase with them traveling alone. But not only children, vulnerable people who draw attention to themselves by the way they act. We're going to look at a news story now, just all about someone who was arrested recently involved in the county lines criminals. 1 second. Right, here we are again. This is a news story about brothers who led county lines drug gang have been jailed. Yeah, I was a bit confused initially with this county lines. It sounds like a railway network, doesn't it? So I didn't really know what they were referring to. It's only in the story that it becomes really clear. There they are. They look harmless enough, don't they? Look like normal people, but no, they've been doing bad things. They don't even look like brothers, do they? Would you say they look alike? Well, anyway, brothers who led, past tense of lead, an organized crime group known as the Scouse Dave Line have been jailed for a combined total of more than 30 years. Scouse is the local way in which we refer to people from Liverpool. They're Scouse. The Liverpool area, they're Scouse. In the same way as people from Glasgow are Glaswegian. People from London are Londoners. Manchester, I can never remember that one. And there's a name for that one as well. It says here Anthony and Brian Siner, both from Liverpool, had previously pled guilty to conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. Now, pled, or to plead in the present tense in the infinitive, is how you give the judge in a court case. You're guilty or not guilty. You can say, oh, I plead guilty. So they had pled previously that they were guilty. Anthony Siner, 38, was sentenced to 17 years and 7 months in prison, and his brother Brian received 15 years and 9 months during the sentencing. That's when you are given your punishments. 2 other members of the gang were also sentenced at the hearing, whilst a further 13 will be sentenced in March. So you can see it's quite a big operation. Judge Sawyer, the judge is the man in the court, of course, who passes the sentence, the punishment. He says it's sufficient to say that this was a well-organized and professional drug dealing network. It involved the exploitation of vulnerable people, mainly drug users, who were made to sell drugs on your behalf. And it says here that they were running drugs through Gosports. That's a place in the south. Right. His brother Brian controlled the line operating in Devon, Plymouth in Devon, from his prison cell, where he was coming to the end of a 14-year sentence for previous drug supply offences. How you can do that from your prison cell, I don't know, but anyway, over the course of the investigation, police seized 4 kilograms. Oh, I'm really bad with the metric system. I've no idea what that is, but thankfully it tells me 8.8 pounds. So I understand from the pounds how much it is, but not the kilograms. How does that work? You have 1,000 kilograms, is it? 1,000 grams in a kilogram. Is that right? Oh no, it sounds very complicated, I think. But anyway, please see it's 4 kilograms of drugs and more than £30,000 in cash, along with a number of weapons. Yeah, they were selling these here. Very, very sad, really. Right. The story is very long, okay? So we're just going to go on. It says here that they are actually going to prison, but I would imagine they'll be out quite quickly because they're trying to empty our prisons right now. They're trying to let people out as much as they can. And if they're going to prison for, 15 years? That's not going to happen. I think it'll probably be 5 or 6. That's usually what happens. But they've been in prison before, at least one of them has, so maybe that will make a difference. Yeah, one of them here received a 2-year suspended sentence, so he doesn't have to do anything. And he's already spent 13 months in prison, so he gets out. Well, very interesting. Yeah, so it's a really interesting story. Involved the disruption of all tiers, that's all levels. Ground level runners, operational managers, and 2 senior leaders. And they pleaded guilty, which is good. Pleaded past tense, so it's a new word. To plead is to say I'm guilty or not guilty. You can also plead with someone who's about to steal your television. So if I come to your house today and I say, give me your television, you can plead with me, oh, please don't take my television. And I will say, no, I want your TV. Give me your television. And you can plead with me. You might say, oh, no, please take anything you want, but not the TV. I might say, do you have a radio? Microwave? Okay. I'll take the coffee machine, TV, radio, and I'll take the fridge as well, the fridge. So there we are. You can plead with me not to take the TV, and that's what we do in court. We plead, that's our sentence plea, guilty or not guilty. and then the judge decides. It's very historic, this type of language, this old legal language. I really wish they would just update the whole thing. Right. And so that is the story of county lines. It's very hard to kind of understand why they call it this. As I was saying earlier, for me, county lines sounds like they're actually, um, transferring it over the borders. But no, lines in this case is referring to the telephony that they use. Very interesting. There they are again, Anthony and Brian. Yes. So, well, um, that's it from me right now. So I'd like you to have a little look through this story. I will publish the link so you can go and see it. A little bit complicated, county lines. It sounds like a boating company or a train company, doesn't it? But it's referring to telephony there, not the territorial boundary of the county. Right, and with that, we're going to leave it there. Um, Very interesting. I really wanted to hammer home the point that this is something which, as you can see, is very, very common. And if you are coming to the UK and you think we're all sitting around here drinking tea at 5 p.m., hopefully by now you're beginning to understand that life here is not quite as easy as you may have thought. Right, that's it from me for today. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll be back during the week with more podcasts and more things for you to look at. So take care and have a wonderful evening or afternoon or morning, depending on when you're watching this. See you. Bye.